Welcome to Getting Real with John Natale. Guys, this is episode 21, and I have a guest that I am super excited for you to hear today. Whether you are a younger agent, if you're Gen Z, millennial, honestly, your age doesn't matter. Her story is inspirational. She's a hugely talented person, and I'm excited to have her as a guest here on Getting Real. And before I bring her on, I just want to thank you. This podcast is changing lives, okay? We are helping people in the real estate industry, one, not fail as much, two, build the life of their dreams. And I think from one of my more recent interviews and the interview we're going to have today, these interviews are powerful for you guys to hear these stories, draw inspiration, and really, really ramp up your business. At Getting Real, at our Natale companies, we are here to fundamentally redesign the real estate industry. This podcast is a very small part of it, but I'm so damn appreciative of any likes, shares, comments you have, subscribing to our podcast, whatever it is, however you can support us, means so damn much to me, and I can't thank you enough. So let's dive in. Today, we have an agent who in 3 years, wildly successful. She's 22 years old. She's down in Virginia. She's not someone who's, been in real estate her whole life and that's what her parents did and all these different things. She's someone who got into this business at one of its hardest times, has found success, and I am so stoked to bring on Alexis Lohse down in Virginia. How are we doing today, Alexis?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic, and I'm pumped for this conversation. I've obviously been a huge fan of yours for quite some time now. I see everything you're doing on social media, especially on TikTok. I just love everything that you're putting out there. So tell me, and the people listening, we're going to break down your story a little bit. How you got into real estate, how this all started for you, what your early days looked like, and then we're going to talk about the future and what Alexis has planned. So first off, how long have you been doing this?
So I am just now entering, I just finished my second year. I'm entering my third year into Yes.
Awesome. So yes. What drove you to get into real estate?
It's a funny story. I was at a point in my life that everyone gets to. Whenever you ask anyone what got them into real estate, they always just fall into it somehow. For me, I did happen to fall into it, but I was at a point in my life where I was in college. It was COVID at the time. So everyone was going to a university virtually. It wasn't the right fit for me. And one day I was clearing out the notes app on my phone and I found a list of dream jobs that I wrote 4 years prior. And I look at it, and at the top of the list of all my dream jobs was a real estate agent. So then and there, again, at the point in my life, I kind of looked at it and I was like, I'm going to do it. So I quit everything and I started. I did.
That's awesome.
I finished out the semester, but I stopped after that.
That's amazing. So I knew that. I just didn't want to open the conversation with a college dropout, but you know what? It's inspirational. It's what a lot of Gen Z are doing, though. It's not necessarily just about dropping out of college, but it's looking at different avenues of life. Like, it's not just about getting a college degree and working in a cubicle and doing these different things. There's so many different opportunities out there. And that's why I wanted to have you on, because you are the prototype for thinking differently, not thinking, just keeping yourself in a box and just putting yourself out there. So you got licensed, you're leaving college, you got licensed. What company are you with?
I am with First Class Real Estate. I have been with that broker. She started out as my team lead at a different company, and then we moved company so she could open her own brokerage, and people like me that was on a team with her originally could go independent, which I moved with her to that company that she bought. And now I'm an independent agent.
Awesome. With her. That's fantastic. So take me through some of those first few months in real estate, right? You obviously, were you 19, 20 at the time?
Yeah, I was 19. I feel like time has gone by, but I don't remember how old I was. And it's weird because I know I'm young, but I get what y'all mean when you say like it only goes by quicker and like even a year ago feels like forever ago. But I think I was 19. I was just about to turn 20. And
so what were those early days like?
So when I first joined, I feel like it was very, it was an impulsive decision I made. So I felt like I had to do everything right away. I had to get the ball rolling. I started the classes. I finished the classes and the test within 2 months. And then I immediately joined the team. On that team, they trained me. They had mentors. So I followed people around to showings. I went to all of the trainings to figure out what I needed to do to be a good agent, because we both know that course doesn't teach you how to be a real estate agent. It just teaches you the laws of being a real estate agent. And I learned from them on that.
So you kind of just took like a very learning-based approach to it, right? Like you just dove in, said yes to opportunities to go just shadow people and whatnot?
Yeah, any chance I could. I tried to do any open houses. I tried to go with any agent on my team that I had a showing. I would volunteer to do showings for them because, you know, as well as I do, back in that market, the 2021, 2022 market, people had showings left and right. So if they couldn't show a client, I would just volunteer and say, I'll go show your client for you. And it helped me really get used to meeting people, especially random people, because sometimes that's what it is. So it got me more comfortable.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What was your first like kind of like success from real estate? Like where you picked up a client or you're like, whoa, this is like awesome. Tell me about those early days.
So I wouldn't say it's my first success, but the most memorable one that comes to mind is when I was helping this guy who was a referral. And it was just him. He had 4 kids and he didn't think it was possible for him to buy. And he had gone through multiple lenders. And I was like, hey, let's just try a few other lenders, see if it's possible. Because I knew based on what he had told me that it had to have been possible. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Love that.
And so we got him pre-approved. And I want to say it took 4 months. And usually I'm pretty quick with it, but with him, you know, it was a certain price range. It was a competitive market, but I didn't want to give up on him because I knew how bad he needed this, especially with that big of a family. And we made it happen. We found the house. By coincidence, it was a flat fee listing. So it was on the MLS, but not as many people show those homes. So we got a good deal out of it. And I didn't realize how much of an impact I made on him. And he told me that. And I think it just hit close to home because it was a single dad working with 4 kids, and knowing that I could help him, I don't know, it just changed everything for me. It made me realize that real estate is more than just selling homes.
Right. That's an unbelievable line. Right. And all of us that have staying power in this industry know that. Like it's not about I was just on an interview with a potential new hire we have here. And I said, you know, if you lead with, in these interviews with me, like if you lead with like, I want to make so much money and do, you know, ball out and stuff, like you're not my kind of agent, you're not my cup of tea. And also you're not going to have lasting power in this industry. Like you have to thoroughly enjoy helping people. And that's a great story that you just shared. Where did your first, you know, or how did your first few deals kind of come together?
So, and everyone tells me this, I have a very good sphere of influence. Before I went into TikTok, because that was a while later that I realized the power that TikTok had, my mentor and my team lead always told me post on social media. So I announced to everyone that I was in real estate, and my first few deals were friends and family friends. And my company at the time gave me some leads as well. But I was very good on my sphere. And that was just letting everyone know that I was a real estate agent, posting, you know, home buyer tips on Facebook, or just letting them know what the market stats were. And people reached out to me after I let them know because, you know, you're not going to get anyone if no one knows that you're an agent. So you have to let people know that you're an agent. You have to constantly post on social media, which is another job within itself. I don't think they tell you, you know, you're not just going to show homes and sell homes. It's putting in the work to do it and posting every single day. And that's what I did.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And obviously it's a huge part of what I've done. It's a huge part of what you've done, especially recently, especially this year with building a brand and especially your personal brand now. Like I know how important it is to be active on social media. And I think one thing you just said there, even if you're listening to this and you're a little bit younger and you're Gen Z, like one thing that Alexis did was post on Facebook. I get it. Like most Gen Z are not on Facebook. You might not get exactly your age group, but like if you're a little bit younger and you're looking for, you know, friends' parents or just sphere that like loosely know you, it's not a bad strategy to be really active on Facebook because that's mostly at this point, let's be honest, like millennials, like older half of millennials, Gen X, and boomers, but like those generations really utilize Facebook. So I think your strategy of coming into this industry, I think the power in what you just said is you came in, you kind of said yes to a lot of different opportunities, whether it was just showing houses for agents, soaking up knowledge, right? You kind of just said in some ways like F college, right? I'm going to learn this business. rather than, dabble a foot in, you jumped into the business. You said, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to see what happens, right? Like, I don't think anyone, even at 19, now I started at the same age as you, which is why this conversation is so cool for me to have as someone who's now 16 years later from that point. But you kind of just have to have that mentality of like, you can fail, but you're probably not going to. So I'm going to learn as much as I possibly can. What do you think?
Well, one of the biggest sayings I heard recently was, especially if you're starting anything, the worst that you can do is fail. And a lot of people are just afraid to fail, so they don't start. With me, especially as soon as I dropped out of college, I kind of looked at it as, I can't fail. I can't fail. I just risked everything. In my head at the time, I just disappointed everyone. So I was like, well, I can't fail at this, And thankfully, in my head, I don't think I did. But I think that was also part of my drive, is you can't fail, you got to succeed. But in order to succeed, you have to continue to be consistent in everything you're doing with whatever business it is.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And so let's, we've talked about what you saw as like kind of one of your more successful moments, how you got started. The premise of this podcast, especially in the name itself, is getting real. So I talk about a lot of the failures I've made. I've talked about the realistic aspects of this business. I've talked about what it really takes to be a successful real estate professional. I want to ask you a question. What was your biggest mistake so far in real estate?
It wasn't starting social media soon enough. I had that Facebook, but if I had gotten into TikTok sooner, my business would be completely different. If I had gone to networking events sooner, my business would be completely different. But the power of any business owner or anyone that's young and starting a business is to learn from those mistakes and then start doing them. You can always say, I wish I could go back, but you can't. So might as well start them now.
Yeah. And you and I have a very similar timeline, especially with TikTok, right? We both kind of started going, quote unquote, all in at the same time. And then we found each other a few months later. And the realistic aspect is I kick myself every day for not, at least even, you didn't even have to be super consistent back in 2020. I remember, I think I've shared this story on my content before. Like I put up in March of 2020, like as COVID was happening, we were just about to close on our first house. I put up a video of a roasted chicken on like my personal TikTok. It's not on any accounts that people see now. And it was a roasted chicken like before and after I cooked it. And this thing had 300,000 views. I picked up like 200 something followers from it, like just from like one video of a roasted chicken that was like 5 seconds long. And I was like, if I just incorporated this in my business back then, I can only imagine. We've both done very well on the platform in these last 6 months, but I can only imagine what it would have been like if I started in 2020. But at the same time, that wasn't part of our story, right? Like you were out learning the business and producing at a very good level. I was running a highly successful team, opening this company. So like, hindsight's always 2020 especially with social media. Everyone, it's just like buying real estate. The best time to start was always yesterday. So let's talk about, maybe share one other story, because I think stories are what connects people. One of your like funnier experiences in real estate so far.
So it was actually a few months ago. I had a friend at the time that wanted to get into the business, so I was mentoring her. And I was telling her, exactly what I did as a real estate agent to get clients or what I did on showing. So I said, hey, why don't you just come along with me to a showing with a client? I'll tell you how I do it. We go up to the house. I unlock the house. I wait for my client to get there. We show him the house. He loves it. Cool. He leaves. And everyone knows I'm on TikTok now. So I was like, I'm going to film some content. And like, I'm over here doing like the selfie funny videos. And then I do my little house tour. And she runs around to the back. She leaves the key with me. She was like, hey, I'm going to leave the key here. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Let me record my TikTok videos. And she comes back in and she's like, I'm done. I was like, cool, I'm done too. We leave. And this is an older door, so when you shut it, it automatically locks, and it's the only key to the house.
Oh, no.
And it wasn't like it was an older door. It wasn't like a new door that was all high tech. So I shut the door and I was like, okay, where's the key? She was like, Alexi, I left it with you. I went, what? You left it with me? She was like, I told you that. I was like, oh, you did. So we are sitting on the porch for a good 30 minutes. I was like, I got to let this agent know that I just locked the owners and the next buyers that are coming with another agent out of this house. And there's Ring doorbell footage of us just sitting down, like just in complete shame in the front porch. We're just like, what did I just do? And that was me training her. And so I told her, I was like, you know what? Things like this happen. And she was like, well, I told you the key was in the house. And I was like, oops. But it was a funny moment after because the agent texted us and it was just all a good laugh. But in the moment, it feels way worse than what it is because it is funny looking back. It was not funny in the moment. You know, I just lost someone's key, but we got a good laugh out of it. It was a learning experience.
Yeah, I can't tell you. I don't think it's happened so many times, but it's happened to me at least like in 16 years, probably at least 5 or 6 times. Yeah. Not that exact situation. I don't know if you've ever done this, but sometimes, especially when you're in, you know, just going house to house to house to house. And this is why I always made it a practice before I even mention this. Like I always leave the key in the door or I know people that just keep it on them, but like I always keep the key in the door because I've had a situation very similar where you've left the key inside and then the door locks itself. But how many times have we left a showing, put the key in our pocket, forgot to put it in the lockbox, drove 30 minutes away, and then like go like feeling your pockets and go, oh crap, I have the key on me still, and then either have to go back like or whatnot. It's always a nightmare. I've made that mistake probably too many times for my liking, but it's been a few. So,
and you learn from them though.
Absolutely, and that's what real estate is all about. But yeah, that's a funny one. All right, so Alexis, tell me a little bit about what your production was like in 23, so this past year. And for those listening, we're filming this right in the middle of January. It'll probably be out in a few weeks. But how did you end up 23, and what is your goal for 24?
So I finished 2023 right under 5 million in sales volume.
That's great. I'm 22 years old, 5 million in sales. What is your hope 2024?
I want to go for 10 million. You know, the worst that can happen is that I can't do it, but I love to shoot for the stars. And I feel like I've learned so much just this past year, these past 2 years, that if I do put in the work, I can make it happen. It's just, like I said, a matter of consistency, and I want to shoot high.
Yeah. And what's your average price point down there in Virginia?
I would say around $350, $375. It depends, again, on, you know, whether you're going to be in Virginia Beach or if you're going to be in not as much of a touristy area.
Okay. No, but that means you're going to have to sell a few houses to get to that 10 million. It's not going to happen from 1 or 2 sales.
Oh, yeah, no. It's going to be around 35 houses, and I sold 20 or 18, maybe 18 or 20 homes this past year.
That's fantastic. No, it's great. And so what do you think, you know, you're 22 years old, doing very well for yourself. What's one thing or what's driving you to succeed?
I'd say the one thing that's driving me to succeed is the fear of failure. I never have ever wanted help from anyone, and it's not about the matter of success as it is failing. I just don't want to fail. And there's a difference between, you know, doing okay and then doing really good. And in my eyes, I always want to do better.
That makes a lot of sense. The fear of failure is so high in high performing people who just want to do better either for themselves, their family, whatever it kind of is. So it's cool to see just for yourself, right? Like you're not doing this for anybody else. Like it is for Alexis. You want better for your life. You want to constantly be improving. The reality is there's so many ups and downs in everyone's career, and you'll see that as you go on. And I think your goal to always have more, and not in like a material type of way, but more opportunity to help more people, to provide yourself with a great life. I think it's a really powerful one. What is one thing that scares you about the real estate industry and kind of a career in real estate at the age of 22?
Not even just real estate, but a career as an entrepreneur. You're never guaranteed a paycheck, which again drives me to go get out there and make more sales. But at the same time, you know, not every day is going to be perfect. Not every month is going to be perfect. And there's going to be some months where you don't make money, and you have to mentally put yourself in a space to know that that's okay. And it's very hard to grasp that, or to know that you might not make money that month. And that's scary, especially if I'm living off of that, living by myself, creating a means for myself, knowing that I might not get paid 1 month scares me.
Yeah, no, and that's the mind keeps you busy because of that. Would you consider yourself, you know, because I'm kind of hearing it a little bit, would you consider that you're running from anything? Like, is there anything in your childhood or something in that regard that you're kind of running from in terms of your success?
I think, growing up, it was just me and my mom and my brother at the beginning. And I saw her working 3 jobs to get to the point where she's at today before she met my stepdad. And I knew personally I never wanted to be in that situation. And I admire her a lot. Working 3 jobs as a 22-year-old mom with 2 kids, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And for her to see her do that, and then, for me to go sidetracked and go jump into real estate, I knew that she worked her whole life just to get me through college so I could get a good job, right? So for me to go into real estate, I still didn't want to fail. But not only that, I never wanted to be at a point where I ever had to ask anyone for help. I wanted to be like my mom, who worked hard and made herself work up to the top. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah, no, it's a very similar story to mine. It's obviously a little different. I watched my mom, had her life, turned upside down when I was a kid. And for me, watching her go more or less back to work from our circumstance, and how hard she worked, working 6 days a week, for the pay that she got. It was a huge part of why I got into real estate and stayed in real estate, because there's not many industries where you can make the type of money we make with the hours that are involved. And what I mean by that is you have control. It's a long job, especially in the beginning. You're probably a testament to that. But it's a job where you can be flexible if you need to, right? If there's somewhere you need to be on Tuesday afternoon, you could be there. There's no boss overhanging you saying you cannot be there. You absolutely have to be in an office or something like that. And I think that seeing that drive from our moms, right, in particular, really drives us, because that's what, I always think man, she worked so hard just to provide, me with staying in, the same school district that I grew up in, not having to uproot our entire lives and move out of state to, a different area. I was able to get a great education. And yeah, I did get through college. I got into real estate the same age you did at 19. I did stay in college mostly because at the time I was dating my now wife. That was probably the only thing that really kept me in there. But at the same time, that drives us, right? Is the fact that we've seen our parents struggle and we want better for our life. But we also draw motivation from it. And it sounds like you definitely do. I think you're just working hard in a different element. Would you agree?
I would. And again, I feel like in a lot of ways, she worked so hard to be able just to put me through college. And the fact that I didn't want to do college, that was not what anyone expected. So going into real estate, I still wanted to make sure that I wanted to make sure that I didn't let her down in that regards too.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense. And that must have been a very hard decision to make at the time, right? Leaving college, deciding to go into, 100% commission job. One thing that most people don't even really understand about real estate. And if they do, they're like, whoa, that's really crazy. Is that like you said before, we don't have a paycheck. I don't have a paycheck in June. We're sitting here in January. I don't have a paycheck in July. Well, it's going to be there, but we don't know exactly where it's going to come from. So real estate, or how much, right? It's not like a position where you're definitely going to get an X amount of salary, but the trade-off is you can make rock star level money over your career, make athlete type of money, and at the same time, enjoy every single moment with your family, your friends, your close ones, acquaintances, whoever you want to. You can have that flexibility. What is one thing so far that you've absolutely loved about real estate?
The biggest thing that I've seen and that I love in real estate is not only the power that it has to help anyone gain financial freedom, and not only helping people buy a house. These are all great things. But throughout my entire career as a real estate agent, I've learned a lot of valuable life lessons. I've learned a lot. I've had to go through a lot. And knowing that I've grown so much as an individual since I started, that's been the coolest part of the whole process.
Yeah, I love that. So the growth, I look back, which you don't have just yet at your age, which you can look back a few years from when you started, right? But you'll really be able to do this around 5 years. So maybe another couple more years. But when I look back at who I was 5 years ago, right? We're just at the start of 2024. I own a real estate company now, and I look back 5 years where I was still just an individual agent scared to start a team. And the growth that happens in 5 years is just nuts. And I'm sure, all of us, when we look back even just a year, it's a lot. You look back at 19-year-old Alexis 3 years ago. So it's 2021, 2022, that time period. And where you are now, what's the one biggest difference between those two people?
I believe in myself now.
I love that.
I believe in myself. I have confidence. And I wish I could go back and tell myself, to just make the damn move, go for it. Because I think one of the biggest things that I've learned since then is to invest in yourself. Because as soon as you invest in yourself, not just your business, as soon as you invest in yourself, you're going to go 10 times further in whatever aspect of life that is.
Yeah. No, and whenever you do, it always pays off tenfold. Whatever, whether it's into, learning, it's into taking the time to read books, listen to Audible books, like doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're investing in yourself, going to conferences, like all these different things and all these different areas in real estate, you do really well. So Alexis, you're 22, you're having really solid success in real estate. I'm looking at this objectively, and I think you'll at least get to 10 million this year. I think you're going to hit that goal. I think you're going to hit, 35, 40 families helped. You have all the tools to do it. You have the opportunity to do it. But let's talk about the future, right? The future mindset, the growth mindset we've spoken about. What do you see for yourself in the future? Like what's the big thing that you're kind of working towards? If it's, say your later 20s or your 30s, what does that look like for you?
Well, the first thing that I want to say is thank you for saying that you see that in me, because hearing that other people believe in me, that's very motivating to me. But as far as, where I see myself in the future, as an individual, before I started real estate, I've always known that I wanted rental properties. It's the key to financial freedom. And I always thought I was always going to be this solo agent after I got off of a team. But from having mentors and a team and real estate, and even just social media, from getting big on TikTok, I have 5-10 people reach out to me every day about becoming an agent, just because of the tips that I've given to agents. So I could very well see myself having a team or being a mentor of some sort to younger people, especially younger people, but any agent, any new baby agent in the industry, because I would love to tell them the things that I did wrong, and I would love to train them and kind of help them succeed in real estate.
Yeah, I love that. So rental properties, grow a team, and it's wild to me as someone who was in this industry in like the 2010s, right? Like the coolest thing that's in your generation's hands is the opportunity to do that at 22, 23, 24, 25 years old, because that is the new power of social media, right? You mentioned it, how many people you have reaching out to you just from TikTok, Instagram, these things, and you're just scratching the surface right now. Like you've done so well, but just scratching the surface on the opportunity that arises from social media. What is one thing you look forward to with your content or your social media strategy going into this year or the future?
Oh my goodness, I have so many ideas for 2024. Seeing myself from last year to this year on TikTok, like you said, I am scratching the surface, and I realize the power that social media has. People can hear it all day long. You do not see it until you do it yourself consistently. And for me personally, I still want to help home buyers. I still want to help new agents and give tips. But I also want to talk about what I've personally experienced along this entire 2 years, about to enter my 3rd year of being an agent, because those are the things that no one tells you about. So being able to share my life experience and life lessons along the way, that's something that I want to start this year. It's a whole separate podcast. I haven't started yet, but it's on the list, and I think I'm most excited for that.
I'm excited for it. That's for sure. And what is, I always like to ask this question, honestly, really directly, because sometimes people need to hear it. Have you gotten business directly from your content on social media?
Yes, completely, 100%. I've had people, whether that be my sphere that's seen me on TikTok, and I've had random people PCSing to this area, or just some people that just want to make the move to Virginia, call me or PM me or schedule a link to do a meeting with me, and we've gone to look at it. So it pays off, and it's worth it. So anyone that is scared to do content, just know that you're losing a client every day if you don't do it.
It's the industry's changing, right? I would agree that someone who's maybe 75, 80 years old might not find their next real estate agent on TikTok. But you know what? A vast majority over the next 10 years are going to choose their agent, whether it's through TikTok, which we're obviously very heavy on, whether it's through YouTube, Instagram. It's going to be through the agent that's creating content. and all different platforms. However, TikTok has that natural organic reach. We've both had a lot of success there. What is the one platform that's next for you, right? Like, you've done very well with TikTok, but what do you see as like what's next for Alexis on a platform?
I want to start YouTube. I started it a little bit. I got the hang of it. But again, my goal in 2024 was consistency. I didn't want to overwhelm myself with multiple platforms. I've done TikTok in 2023. I will start implementing my TikToks into YouTube Shorts, or just start longer YouTube videos, with small goals. It all starts with small goals. So maybe one video a week versus one video a day like TikTok. But YouTube is it's next on the list.
No, that's great. And we're obviously all about that as well. And I have two big questions kind of left for you, Alexis, and I appreciate your time so far. And I think these are some of the most important answers you may give. You've provided an insane amount of value to agents listening to this, no matter the age. I think if you're younger, you're older, you're just starting out, you're an experienced agent, I would hope you've drawn some inspiration from Alexis today. But Alexis, I want you to give me your one piece of advice to either a brand new agent or an agent who's struggling, that you would just look them dead in the eye. This is the one, you can only pick one piece of advice you'd say to them.
I'd say start social media content completely.
How often?
I would say start with a small goal, because you do not want to overwhelm yourself. Start with one video a week, and then do 3 videos a week, and then do 1 video a day. And make sure that it is not just any type of content. Make sure it is valuable content, because the sooner you start that, the sooner you're going to have success with it. And that is the best way to get any client right now. I feel like when I've gotten clients off social media, they're more loyal than the ones that I've gotten as referrals or a random lead off the internet. These are people that know you, that value you, that are connecting with you online. So you are wasting out on that opportunity if you don't start.
Yeah, the connection on social media has never been higher. And there's one thing that you said there that I found more important than even just the amount of times to post. It's provide value, right? You and I get this, but one of the mistakes I see so many people make is they look at it from a lens of like what they think like they'd like to hear. Don't try to guess. If you see other people's content doing really well and consumers responding to it, start doing what consumers are responding to. Like, provide value. And you provide value by showing what, consumers don't care about days on market, right? They care about debating hot issue topics. They care about home tours. They care about getting value back as homeowners. They care about getting value back if they're in the process to buy a home or process to think about selling a home. That's where they drive or draw value from. And I think a lot of agents, make this mistake. I don't know if you agree, Alexis, that like they just, you look at it and you're like, I would think this is funny maybe as another agent, but it's not necessarily the type of content the consumer that actually would want to transact with you would like.
Yeah. And it very well depends on who you want your audience to be. Everyone always hears that. And I remember hearing that. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but I get it now. I really do. Do you want to attract first-time home buyers? Do you want to attract, a different niche? You really have to pick what you want. For me personally, I started out by I think my first viral video wasn't even a client-related video. Like, it was to agents, and that was my audience. I didn't mean for it to be. I was just honestly giving my opinion because they glamour it up like it's the easiest thing in the world. Well, it's not. You got to work hard. Nothing comes that easy. But that video went viral because I said my honest truth, and I didn't say what I thought would be best. I just kind of went off of my head and what was in my head. And then my second viral video was educational home buyer content, whether that be about my area or like the biggest no when it comes to buying a home.
Yeah.
And then the home tours.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So there was something you said in there, Alexis, about your audience, and even your first video that went viral was kind of towards agents. And I think, when I say like you should have content that's like towards consumers, there is also a strategy that you can have some content towards agents if you want it. Just to understand the difference between the two. One thing that I've seen you do that's been really cool that I want you to share about is you've taken some of your content, right? It is, because I think you saw naturally agents were following you because they're kind of interested in seeing what you're doing, right? Like when you're successful like that. And you started a referral group, a nationwide referral group. Tell me a little bit about that.
So me and my friend Gracie actually started this referral group. She is another agent up in Northern Virginia. The videos that were hitting for us at the beginning was agents. We didn't want that, but we rolled with it and tried to figure out what we could do with it. And we actually ended up starting a referral group. It's called Exclusive Agents, more than just a referral group. That's our name. And what we have is one agent per market, not one agent per state. And we did that because we realized how many referral groups there are out there. And it's hard, especially for any new agent to get a referral, if there's people that have been in the business 20, 30 years and they have a go-to person when it comes to referrals. And I say that it's more than just a referral group because we get on a meeting every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and we all go with what's working for us, whether that be social media, whether that be cold calling, whether that be FSBOs. We all go through what has helped us and what we're going to try the next week. We all hold each other as accountability buddies. We keep each other motivated, and we've all learned a good amount for each other. And we're still adding to the group. We haven't completely filled it up because we don't want just anyone. We want people that are going to show up at the meetings. We want people that are going to provide value. We don't just want someone that's going to be in the group to be in the group.
That's an amazing undertaking, and it's cool that you and Gracie put that together. How many agents do you have in it right now?
About 40 or 50, but that doesn't touch how many places there are in the U.S. because this is just one agent per market. Yeah. And as you and I know, there's multiple markets in each state.
Yeah, no, I love that. So I'm excited to see you keep growing that out and helping agents, especially younger agents, newer agents across the country that are hungry to grow. And that's really cool. And I think it's a cool one. All right. So Alexis, here's our last question. I think it's a profound one. It's an important one. You get to meet 10-year-old Alexis. So she might be sitting on a swing at a playground. You get to sit in the swing next to her. And I want you to picture that conversation, looking at that 10-year-old little girl version of yourself. What do you tell 10-year-old Alexis?
I would go up to that little girl and I would give her a big hug. And I would look at her in the eyes and say, be 100% unapologetically you. Believe in yourself. Be the girl that talks a lot. Be the girl that laughs loud. And be there for yourself. Because that's the key to it all, is to believe in yourself and have confidence within yourself, which, it's hard to tell a 10-year-old girl that. But if I could make 10-year-old self understand that, I would.
Yeah, I love that. And that's a powerful answer, to be yourself and to talk, to laugh. Like I absolutely love that answer because I know that that's who you're becoming now. I see it in you, all the time whenever we meet and all that. And I think it's a powerful thing to tell your 10-year-old self, is to let yourself be you and to let the world see who you really are. And I'm glad we came into each other's world because I think you're at still such a young age that you have so much opportunity and so much growth ahead of you. And the world deserves to, really know who Alexis is. And I'm excited for you to still be at the age you are to really keep letting that out. Because it's honestly a beautiful thing to watch.
Thank you. I think it was really hard at the beginning to hone in on who I was. I've always known who I was, but I was afraid to be me. And once I started becoming me and embracing who I was, because it's a big part of everything else, not just social media and being a real estate agent, but the way that you are going to connect with people is being your true, authentic self. So once I started embracing that, everything else fell into place.
100%. And so that's our final question. I appreciate you taking the time today to go over all of this. This has been an unbelievable interview. I'm so damn appreciative of you, Alexis, for joining me here on Getting Real. If people want to follow you, connect with you, what are your handles for TikTok, Instagram, YouTube?
My Instagram, I have my regular Alexis Lohse one, and then I have Alexis Lohse VA Real Estate Agent, which I just started, so there's not going to be a lot of followers on that. And then for my TikTok, it is VA Real Estate Agent, and it'll say Alexis Lohse in the bio.
Awesome. Love that. So connect with Alexis, follow her, see what she's about, and yeah, I'm just so damn excited to see your growth this year and into the future. Alexis Lohse, I am so thankful again. Thank you for everyone for listening. Have a great day.